Thank you. Do we have a little bit of time for questions from the audience for the panelists that are here? And come to the microphone in the back of the room.
Hey.
This is Mitchell Skolnick from Bluestone Farm.
Can you hear me?
It's on.
I like Seth Rosenfeld.
Hi, Mitchell.
I like him a lot. A lot of my ideas, well, I shouldn't take them as my ideas. They spring from Seth. He's given me a lot of ideas over the years. I agree with the Americana idea, by the way. But I want to go back to something you and I talked about many, many, many years ago. I've been asked to be part of this USTA marketing group. And many years ago, you and I spoke about who should spearhead a marketing group. I'm hoping you remember this, but you spoke specifically about the Hambletonian Society. Putting aside the age difference between who we're trying to attract and the average age of the directors, do you still think that the Hambletonian Society is the best place to spearhead a marketing or public relations kind of thing?
Well, I mean,
Not to put you on the spot or anything.
Well, I mean, in defense of the Hambletonian Society, I think it's very impressive that this meeting was called by the Hambletonian Society. There are a lot of organizations in harness racing. I know there is, Ivan Axelrod's got a USTA committee, but I think this shows that the Hambletonian Society is open and wants to listen and is looking to move forward. And I don't know, I mean, not to evade the question, but I don't know who should spearhead it, but I'm just glad that people are thinking about it and addressing it.
Well, you spoke specifically at that time about because they own the stakes, they sponsored a lot of the stakes. They had really the most power in our business, so I think that's where that conversation had come from.
Yeah, I think the Hambletonian Society does have a lot of power, and I would like to see, and hopefully this is the step in that direction, the Hambletonian Society using some of its power to say to the tracks that everyone wants the Hambletonian Society's races. And I think obviously the Hambletonian Society has the power to say, here are some, for instance, I mean, this is a small point, but they said, this is our race, there will be no Lasix. And I think that's, most tracks don't like that. They don't want that. They don't want to have to tell their fans that there's going to be different medication rules. But you know what? This is the Hambletonian. This is the Hambletonian Society. We make that rule. It's going to be, we're going to have stricter drug regulations for the Hambletonian than for your regular races. And it's using that power, and I think the Hambletonian Society can probably go further with it, and I would like to see it in areas like whipping and trophies. I think the Hambletonian Society has control, some, hopefully, influence on those types of issues. I think that's a good place to start.
Thanks, Seth.
Thank you. Any other?
Yeah, I work for the Hambletonian Society. My name is Moira Fanning. I'm happy to do anything you want as long as Mitchell helps me. I just had a question. I thought it was funny, John, that you mentioned mainstream television and print advertising, print coverage, something that harness racing has been marginalized out of and is just about, I think, to give up on. And I wanted to hear from the other people as well as you, how do you get your information? What do you watch? Do you watch TV? I mean, we're under the impression that, based on my 16-year-old's action, all she ever does is text people and be on the computer. And so to go in that direction was a surprising thing to hear from you. I wanted to know what social networking, what do you guys do on the computer?
When I'm at work, I know that
You watch YouTube at work?
and at home too. But I know that one of the things I do is that my Facebook page is probably up at least once an hour, maybe twice, maybe 3 times. For harness racing, my 4NJ Bets account allows me to watch video replays from the tracks that it carries, from the previous night's racing, from the previous week's racing, and I watch some of that if there's a race that I missed or something I want to catch up on. I look at ustrotting.com. I look at Standardbred Canada. I look at harnessracing.com. I look at a lot of those sites, and I find it kind of incredible that we have something going on for the Hambletonian, and Standardbred Canada beats us to the punch over US Trotting. How
so?
Standardbred Canada is the first one to post their information, post the news story. They'll post results from the Mohawk Open Monday night at 10:30 when the race went official at 9:40. Whereas U.S. trotting, we have the classic series at the Meadowlands. You know, the Meadowlands pace we had the information on, obviously up to date, but then we were behind when it came to updating the classic series right away. Where in Standard Bear Canada was almost right as it happened, it was on their website.
You're talking about charts or stories?
Both.
Because I wrote that story in about, in about 8.5 minutes, and I got the blisters on my fingers to prove it. But go ahead.
And you know, U.S. trotting finally put charts and results up with payoffs, which took a while. Standard Bear Canada was, and I don't mean to like compare the two sites, but sure. Charts, information, trip rundowns. One of the things U.S. trotting can do when they put their entries up, they put the original entries that we get off the proofs. Then they don't update to what the drivers are. So if you don't have a program, you don't know what the most up-to-date drivers are unless you're going to the track page, going to your 4NJ Bets account, when it's a quick list and you go by the original proof. And one of the nice things about it is you can check it and see which driver chose which horse and everything like that. Mm-hmm. So, but updating the sites regularly really comes in handy. But again, television, we talked about poker earlier. Online poker took off because poker was taken off on television. World Series of Poker now is a yearly occurrence. It's run every Tuesday night on ESPN2. Even the Thoroughbred Recap show that Randy Moss used to have on ESPN and ESPN2, it's seldom on now. And when it's on, it's like 3:30 in the morning, leading up to the Kentucky Derby. The sport can't let that happen. We have to expose ourselves. And I know CN8 has Let's Go Racing. The Meadowlands has Racing for the Meadowlands on Sportsnet New York every time it races. New York Racing Association has their review show on. But we have to do it more generally for the sport. Have all the top races, all Kentucky Derby prep races, all Hambletonian prep races, all the races leading up to the Meadowlands pace on this one centralized show so you can catch up on your week's racing scene in a half hour. Okay. And you feel up to date and ready to go.
Okay, just one other thing. I know that we heard the emphasis on the dollar beers and the promotions and the cost of coming to the track, and I agree with you 100%. But it seems to me, and tracks do that, and they know that, and they host bands and dollar hot dogs, etc. It seems to me where the disconnect is, once they've got you to the track, what do they do with you? As Stephanie said, the program's hard. Betting is hard. You don't, if you go up and touch a VLT screen, you don't feel like an idiot if you get it wrong or, whatever. They need to engage the people once they're there. I think it's kind of not cost effective to have somebody with every group or every bunch of people that's around your track, whether it be for a business dinner or whatever. But maybe some of those county fair ideas of the pick of winners or et cetera, you got to help people like harness racing. Getting them there is, you've said several ways to do it, but once the people are there, you've clearly stated that you need help in liking it. You're happy to like it, help us like it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, well, I thank you all for your assistance this morning.